I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I came out here in 2001 on some government contracts. Stayed out here to 2005 and then moved to Las Vegas. I was a CTO for a national healthcare company, and then I met this beautiful woman, and I'll let her take it from there.
So I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and my background is in software development. I have a computer science background and business background, and I was working in a consulting company, and it was in 2004 where I got stuck in like this blizzard, this snowstorm, and I just said, I'm done, I can't do the snow anymore, and I decided to pick up and move to the West Coast, and it was my dream to work at Microsoft since I was in software, and so I literally drove my car to the West Coast, and then I landed like a dream job at Microsoft. And then I met Chuck in Vegas on vacation, and he was living in Vegas at the time. So we got married, I moved to Vegas, and had a child, and we started a small business on the side, nothing crazy. But 2007 hit, and the economy hit, and we were
scrambling.
We were laid off multiple times. I wasn't working because I was at home with the child, and it was crazy. And then he decided to take his chances.
Yeah, we were always being called back to Hawaii to consult. So even when 2007 hit, we had the consulting firm, and companies out here kept reaching out, hey, can you still help us? Can you help us? And then as we talked about it, so I came back out here, like, let's see what we can do in Hawaii, and it was always my dream to raise our kids out here.
Yeah.
So we ended up moving back out here in 2012.
At the same time, when he went to Hawaii to consult and go back and forth, I actually joined an organization, a small business kind of group in Vegas, and they got me to read this book, Delivering Happiness, and by Tony Hsieh. I don't know if you've heard of that book, but I love the book so much, read about the core values, and decided to work for the organization. And so I landed my absolute dream job with Zappos. I don't know if you've heard of that, company, but landed that job, and he's like, hey, let's move to Paradise. And I'm like, no, like I love this company. I'm not going to Paradise. Like, this is a great opportunity. My background is, like I said, computer science, but I specialize in data warehousing, business intelligence. So that's what I did there. And then what happened was I was pregnant with my second child. And then at that point, this traveling back and forth wasn't conducive to a family. So I decided to move our family to Hawaii and then raise our second child in Hawaii, where it's family oriented here. And but I needed something to do, and so I wanted an opportunity where it was flexible, where I could be at home with my child. I mean, I nursed my first child well over a year, past a year, and I wanted that opportunity.
Hooray for that!
Right, and I wanted that opportunity for my second child, and I wanted an amazing company culture, and I couldn't find what I was looking for here in Hawaii. So I said to him, look, I'm gonna just start my own company here. And he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, don't do it, don't do it. And I'm like, no, I got it this time. Like, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. And he just kind of discounted me. It was like, okay, whatever you say. I can't really help you. I've got other stuff I'm doing. He had a full-time job at the time, and I was like, don't worry, I got this. So that's pretty much how we started this company. I based it around raising my family, and that was part of our core values. So we live by a set of core values, something that I learned from Zappos, and one of them is Ohana first, so family first. And so we hire people that also share that same philosophy. So we have like stay-at-home moms that work with us on the East Coast, and we just kind of treat each other like family. So that's how we started it, and the company just grew really quickly in 5 years.
Yeah, that's a value of this state, isn't it? It's remarkable, and you feel it. We were at we stopped at the Dole Plantation on the way back yesterday, and it was closed when we arrived. And Maddie wanted to put a penny in to smash it, she collects them around all the different states that we go to. She's gone to 26 states this year, so
awesome.
It's been pretty cool. And so this is kind of like her one little souvenir that does not stack very high, so I'm a fan of it. But we didn't have a penny, and so this woman pulls out not only the penny, but the 50 cents that has to go in. And Maddie didn't fully understand what was happening when my husband came out and wanted to give the woman the 50 cents back, and I'm trying to stop him, like, no, this was her way of saying you're part of our family, and she was like, no, Ohana, like,
that's awesome.
you are our family, and we share, and we wanted to share this with you. And I think when you see that just even on the streets, she didn't know us from anyone. It speaks volumes about this area, which is great. But people often ask, can you have a business that's family centered? Because there's just so many hours to fill with work.
Yeah. And truth be told, we do work a lot. 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So I'd be lying if I said that we spend all this time with my family.
And it's balanced, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's no such thing as balance, but I do believe everything is for the family. Like we make sure that we don't miss any events.
Any school events.
Yeah. Unless one of us is traveling, but that's very rare. But we make sure we attend everything that we can, and that we have at least some time with them. So we always make sure that we do something with them during the week or spend some time with them. And then we feel that way with our employees too. So we always tell them, don't ever miss a school event. So we'll figure it out. Just also instilling with them the importance of family. Like family comes first. If there's somebody sick in their family, it's like family comes first. You take care of your family, and then we'll figure it out.
Love that. I truly love that. And ironically, I had a good discussion with somebody from a large corporation this morning. I won't mention which one, given what it is. But his question to me was, how do we create a space where the young people want to come and work here? And I said, well, one of the things I really found in government that we're lacking is we keep talking about work-life balance. And I said, what more people want is an experience.
Yeah.
So I said, we're really aiming for work-life integration.
Absolutely.
How do we help recognize that, you know, we could work for and I'm living this right now, right? I'm working for 2 or 3 days while I'm here, and my family's here for an extra 2 days to spend with them.
Yeah. So
So every evening I get to spend time with them, even though I'm on travel, and we get to elongate. And I think it's that integration piece. How do we make this more seamless and allow? So one of the things you all do is you work in spaces that are kind of co-opt.
yes.
How does that benefit those ideals?
I think it kind of breaks it up, and it allows us to network and talk to other people in these co-op spaces. So we have our main, or we have a couple offices. We have dedicated office space, but we have the co-op, and I think the important thing about that is you're sharing ideas, you're in the community, and it's been just a really great experience.
And it's less expensive, isn't it? Like you're not having to pay for a full office space.
I wouldn't say that it's less expensive. I'd say it's equivalent, but you don't have to have the long leases or anything like that.
Gotcha.
You've got shared common areas. I wouldn't say it's less expensive.
And you got really big conference areas if you want to have like an
Yeah.
event here, which
Right.
we do. We have a lot of cybersecurity events here. You can put 50 people in, no problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really nice.
What I like about this space though is it's the initiatives they have. They're really about the community.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they have free classes, they sponsor different events, have different speakers come in. They really want to build a community of entrepreneurs. So they sponsor a lot of those types of initiatives. So I really support this co-working space. It's called the Impact Hub, but they're amazing here.
Yep.
So
Wow.
we really are aligned. Like I talk about our core values, we're really aligned with their core values as well.
Yeah, so these exist around the country,
They do.
but I will say I'm finding them mostly in cities. Right, we're
Yes.
not seeing them in some of our rural areas as much, and I'm not sure there's a reason why we couldn't have them in some of the more remote locations. Because in some ways, you guys are remote. You're 6 hours off the
Yeah,
East Coast,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that distance?
Also, before I answer that one, another thing to add is we also have the ability to work from home. So you talk about that balance, right? And so it's the ability to work from home when we need to, and then like if a child's sick, it's easier to be at home, and that's kind of helpful. So we have that flexibility, and then like for instance, traffic in Hawaii is insane.
Yeah.
So
It's a little rough here.
so we allow them to work from home until traffic dies down, so they're more efficient with the time.
Oh, nice.
And so back to your question about working with people in different time zones, is that we do have people like, let's say, on the East Coast that also work from home, and they also have families that they take care of. So how we do that is we have a daily call. We have a daily sync call with everybody in the company, and that's at around 7:30 a.m. our time, which is
That's 1:30
p.m. East Coast time. So it's like a 30-minute call, and we have every department. So like every department's about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just like a quick sync-up call that everybody goes around to make sure that there's no roadblocks. So that's one thing I think we do that's really helpful. The other thing is we have tools, like online tools, project management tools, where we put down like everything that needs to get done in a project, and we assign tasks to people, and then they put information in the ticket. So we don't necessarily need to communicate by phone or anything during the day. All that information is there, so we know where somebody's at in a certain project, how many tasks have been completed, if they're stuck on anything. So I think that also helps in terms of communication. And then some of our online tools, like we use Microsoft, so we use Microsoft Teams to communicate, and we have different, what do you call it, like message, what do you call those? Chats. We call it different conversations about a given topic that we're all on to collaborate at any point in time. So there's different people collaborating at the same time in different time zones, answering questions as needed.
Right. Then there's also like the face-to-face where we'll walk to the beach. You know, there's a beach like a couple blocks away. So
everybody wants to meet here.
Everybody meets here, and then we go over there. But it's nice to just get out and walk, because I think walking is actually good, for your brain too.
We're trying to incorporate more. What some of our goals, our personal goals, in terms of like individuals in the company, is health goals.
Yes.
So we're trying to incorporate more.
Please, yes. It's so important, and one of the things that I really harp on as I go on this journey, I assumed it would be true, but as a scientist, I only start with the hypothesis and then check it out. But it is absolutely the case. Every piece affects everything else, right? So if your workers are healthy and they're happy, they come to work, they bring their best self.
Absolutely.
You make more money.
Absolutely.
The economy benefits in the community because you spend more money.
Absolutely.
And you're not stressed out as much. Now you're not in the hospital as often, and you're not. I mean, this is an ecosystem of life, and we're not doing a great job as a country recognizing that.
Right.
I actually want to touch on your point about happy, because I think it's really important that our team is happy, because one of our core values is delivering wow to our clients. And
I like that, delivering wow.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Yeah. From Zappos, but in order for them to deliver wow, it's got to come from a very authentic, true, happy place.
Yep.
And part of what we do is we put our employees through a 3-day personal development seminar.
Nice.
Where it kind of covers topics about happiness and things that are blocking you, and a whole multitude of stuff to like get rid of the stuff that's preventing them from truly being happy. And it's just part of our thing that we do, that if you come on board, we ensure that they do this 3-day seminar to just give them the tools necessary to be successful, not just within our company, but just in their personal lives as well.
So I love this. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I'll start though with, I completely agree with you. But the devil's advocate piece is, well, I come out of military, right? So I work with folks who are struggling with this concept.
Yeah.
Why is it that I need to worry about someone's well-being, happiness, or whatnot? They're here to do a job.
Yeah.
Do your job, be thankful for your paycheck, and go on your way. And this has been the standard for many, many years. It worked for many, many people, and it's not working as well today.
Yeah.
Of course, we're seeing it in all kinds of ways, right? Our healthcare is problematic. I'm not talking about the system, I'm talking about our health as people. Our suicide rates are increasing. And this is across the gamut. It's difficult, though, sometimes for people to understand something so intangible.
Yeah.
Why does happiness make you a better worker?
Well, actually, I can talk to the first point, because I work for a defense contractor.
Yeah.
And which is do your job, right?
Yeah. When we measure in government contracts, there's no happiness quotient. I can vouch for that. That is correct.
Yeah,
yes.
It's done great.
And deliver wow, not on the list either.
It's not.
But what do we lose when we don't have that?
Well, actually, I used to run my teams that way, so I didn't care like how they felt. I mean, just like get the job done, because that's the way I was trained. Yeah. But in shifting, we've seen that the productivity goes up. Our customers are happier because they're not being we're not drilling on the employees to get this done, do this. They're actually happy, and the customers are feeling that. So overall, the health of the company is actually healthier, I think.
I think for me, I've just been really fortunate to come from an amazing background where I I've worked for like such great companies. I mean, there have been companies that have been more rigid, and I remember thinking, I hate it here, I can't wait to leave. And that feeling of, I can't wait to leave, like it just kind of, I don't know, something inside me was like, I had this desire of like, it should never be this way. Like companies should never be this way. So hence why I had this passion of businesses and learning what worked for businesses. And then I went on to work for like such amazing companies. And while I'm working there, I'm there analyzing, you know, like how everything's done in the company, like what makes this company great, what makes the leaders here great, what makes them not great in certain instances. So when I'm in there, I'm just constantly analyzing things and thinking, if I had a company, this is what I would do differently, or oh, this thing works, I would do this, you know, if ever I had my own company. And luckily here I am with my own company, and I took with me all those experiences, and I'm basically incorporating all the amazing things that I've learned in all those companies that I've worked for. Like especially like for instance Microsoft, right? In tech, they used to have like ping pong tables and pool tables and all this stuff. And I used to think, that's taking away from productivity. I mean, how could they do that, right? But it's a different type of thinking, because sometimes when you're like writing code all the time, it's a different side of your brain. But sometimes you need the creative side of your brain to be able to think of how to do things differently and come up with like different products and stuff like that. So I started thinking about things a little bit differently in terms of like what's, you know, productivity. It's not just about working. You kind of have to give yourself, your mind a break to be able to think outside the box, to think differently and do things even greater, if that makes sense.
Completely. I can't help but relate it to K-12 education because we measure success by how many hours you spend in a seat. And there was actually a study done, I believe it was using Guitar Hero, so I'm going to date it a little bit, right? Sorry. But concept still holds. They had, I think it was like an hour and a half for reading, and one of the classes got to do like 15 or 20 minutes of Guitar Hero, subtracted from that hour and a half of reading time. Their scores were much higher.
Oh wow.
And of course the point is exactly what you're trying to say, is that the brain needs a rest at times. And if as adults we need rest, why in the world do we think our children don't? Right? Why in the world do we think that 6.5 hours straight of study and then 3 more hours of homework makes sense for a developing brain? I mean, there's no logic to this, and yet this is, well, it's important because as we think about coming into businesses, what do we have? We have burned out children segueing into adulthood who are not having a healthy transition to a business environment and might end up in your shoes, right? Going, hey, this is the way it's done, okay, I understand this is how it's done, versus someone like you who's going, nope, I reject this. We're gonna keep looking, because if this is the best you got, I'm gonna live with less, because that's not worth it. We don't always share that information. And I would say the other thing that comes to mind as you're talking is in the government, DoD actually is trying very hard to get out of this space. We are changing the way we think, the way we handle contracts, the way we encourage companies, but government pervasive has this toxicity in it. And I hope that we get the message to Americans, you want happy government workers.
Yeah, you do.
Right? I don't want to have the worker who says, I'm just going to do my task.
And that's it. And I'm not going to go over and beyond.
Right.
Exactly.
Because what does that do for our country?
And that's another thing I want to mention, because I had amazing, for the most part, amazing managers that I worked for that really gave me a lot of freedom. And because of that, I bent over backwards for them. You know, I would do anything. I mean, I worked on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. I've pulled all-nighters for companies I worked for. But it's because they gave me those freedoms as well, and I was happy to give back because of what they've given me. I probably wouldn't do that for an organization that treated me differently, you know? So I really learned that if you give to your employees, they will give back to you tenfold. They will bend over backwards for you, but you have to kind of like love on them. I call it love on them, but like you literally have to love, like, I absolutely, truly care about them and their well-being, and they will do anything for you.
We're not doing that for our government workers. I'm just going to be the little, I often refer to myself as feeling like a union rep. you know, because as a government worker, you can't speak.
Right.
And yet we hear all the time how bad government is, and I'm going, there's 2.4 million workers who are trying to do amazing, who are trying to deliver wow, and all we hear is negative, negative, negative. And so I hope there's a little bit of a call to action to all Americans, at minimum, to separate politics and government.
Right.
You know, right? Our DoD workers and our government workers, I know, are working really hard. So one other question, one other line that we haven't covered that I think is really important is kind of this tax structure for small businesses. I know it's something that y'all are passionate about and have lived through and navigated. And I use the word navigated on purpose because this is, it's like a maze, is it not?
Yeah.
With a lot of hurdles.
Yes.
And it discourages a lot of people.
Yes.
And should it?
Yes.
And maybe.
I would have to say that starting a business is not for the faint at heart.
No, it's not.
It's gut wrenching. I'd be lying. Well, at least our journey. I hear stories of other people where they started a business and like made millions, you know, like a year or 2 years. That's not our journey, and that's not.
I don't think that's most people's journey.
And that's not the journey of a lot of other small businesses I know. So definitely, we struggled. We still struggle. Yeah. So if you wanted to, like, what specifically do you want me to share about, like, tax?
Well, yeah. So, somewhat. I know you were talking a little bit about how you come into this system and your goal is to try and make money.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're begging, borrowing, and stealing for quite some time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you're taking a lot of risk.
Absolutely.
That's not something a lot of people feel if they've always worked a job for someone else. They don't understand.
Oh yeah.
What does that risk feel like?
Oh yeah.
Right? What does that look like in your day to day? It's not just a line item on a piece of paper. It's tangible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I joke around with other entrepreneurs that people just see like your success and think you're so lucky, but they don't see all those tears, all the pain, all the like late nights that you're sitting there going like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? Like, do we have enough food?
You take an equity line up on your house.
Oh yeah,
right?
I mean, so for the first couple years of the business, I didn't have a salary. It was all sweat equity, and I literally had to pay to work. I had to put money in my company every month to work.
Well, what goes through your mind that makes that make sense?
I don't.
I think it's a passion for what we do, right? I think that's part of it.
And then I think for me, it's the faith. I just knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was going to make it work and we were going to make it work. And I just had the tools and the mindset, and it was the determination that hell or high water, like, we were going to make this work. And I had this vision, and we were just going to keep going. And so that's why I said that it's not for everybody, because if you don't have that grit to be able to just not look at what's going on and just have faith that, okay, your vision is gonna come to light someday, but you just have to wait. If you don't have that strength to see it through, you're gonna give up. I mean, there was multiple times where I've almost been in tears where I've said, I can't do this anymore.
Well, let's just keep going, right?
Like, I can't do this anymore. What are we gonna do? And what people don't see is the first couple of years of your business, like, we're self-funded. We have no investments. We don't have any rich uncles or parents that helped put into our company to start it. It was all self-funded. And we borrowed from our own HELOC to be able to self-fund ourselves, right? And we're paying the interest on that.
Paying employees, right?
Yeah.
So we're paying the employees out of our HELOC that we're paying interest on.
Oh yeah, and you pay employees more than you're paying yourself, right? And I mean, that's what it's like the first couple of years. People say like entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster, and it really is. It's like highs and lows, highs and lows. It may look like pretty and sexy, and people make it seem that way, but the reality is it's not. It's not that way. I mean, at least not in the beginning, not when you're getting started.
It's kind of like having kids. They're perfect on TV. I mean, all my children are perfect. Those late nights where you're going, oh, am I awake? Oh, no, I'm not. It does sound a lot like Well, now, you were not bought in on the beginning, though.
No.
So what made you change direction?
So actually, when we had a consulting company when we first came back to Hawaii, that she like kind of just took over because I went full-time somewhere else.
Okay.
So about 2.5 years ago, I came back into the company, and then we just really.
Yeah, we were able to bring him on full time because we were getting the momentum, and he is our expert cybersecurity guy.
Right.
And I'm a numbers person, and I started seeing the numbers, and I started seeing that the trends where people were asking more about cybersecurity solutions, and he's the best person I know. So it just made sense to bring him on board full time. It was definitely a risk for a family.
Yeah, because now both your eggs are in the same basket.
Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely a huge risk, and I have no idea what made us think. There was just some different circumstances, I think, that happened in our lives where everything was leading to this was the right decision.
Okay.
And we just trusted our gut. Even though the signs and everything outside of ourselves told us we were crazy, we just trusted our gut. We went for it. But it's like that, you know, I don't know if you've heard of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, where they burn the boats.
Yeah.
So there's like, you burn all the boats where it's like there is no other option.
Back.
There's no turning back. Like, you have to succeed at this or else. That's kind of what we did.
The beauty is you are in Hawaii, so as I have observed and talked with homeless around the country, this would be the best place.
This is definitely
That's
the
awesome.
best place to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to you know, your question about taxes and stuff, is that so during the hard times, it's like you're still paying for those, you know, your interest rate of borrowing, and then during your high times, it's like you're still paying, you know, maybe more taxes because then you're at a higher tax bracket, but then you're paying off all the stuff that you have to borrow from. So it just feels like no matter, at least it feels like this for me, that we're stuck in this like, can we just have some kind of break? Is there any kind of break that we can get just to be able to get just a little bit more ahead? Yeah. So I just kind of feel like I'm in this.
It's like a cycle.
Where it's just harder.
It's almost subsistence.
Yeah.
So how, if it were restructured, how would it look that would work, that would make sense?
That's a great question. So like as I mentioned, I'm Canadian, and so I hear stories of other counterparts in Canada that have similar businesses and such, and they have different tax breaks for entrepreneurs to incentivize them for starting companies and employing more people and that kind of stuff. So maybe something like that. Like one of the things that we do for our employees, because family is one of our core values, we make sure we pay for full health insurance for our employees and their families.
And it's not the cheap health insurance either.
That's
a really good
like
plan.
dental,
We're on the same plan.
Yeah. Because when I came here, I started learning about the healthcare system, and in Canada, I was like, it's free, right? Pretty much, I had everything free; it's all covered. And then when I came here, I realized it's not that way, and that companies or employees had to pay out of pocket for their families, and the cost of living here is really high. So I can't imagine people spending another $1,000 just to put their families on their health plan, and that really affected me. And so I paid that for our employees before we could even afford it for ourselves. So imagine, like, we weren't making salaries for the first couple of years. We had to figure out how to afford our own health insurance, not making salaries, but made sure that it was a priority that they got health insurance because that mattered to us.
There are a lot of people who would say no.
Oh, I know. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it was difficult financially to do for us, but we just thought that was important to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying when I say like some kind of breaks, is that if there was anything, like any kind of breaks that we could get or something that can help like offset some of those expenses that we have, that I think would really be.
Well, especially when you're doing it at your own personal expense, right? So you all may have seen a vision and believed, and you were all in for reasons probably greater than money. I have to assume so.
Yeah.
There are a number of people who wouldn't do that, but whose brilliance, talents would really benefit the community, and we lose out on that.
We do.
Because, yeah, we know you'd love to participate, but we're going to make you climb Mount Everest first.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, forget that. I'll just go over here and take less. And actually, I mean, in some ways, they're not taking less, right? As an employee, they would have been doing better.
Absolutely.
If you'd been an employee of yourself, you would have been in better shape.
It's true, because for years and years, I mean, there were times where I'm like, I could have gotten paid more
Exactly.
in corporate than what I'm making as an entrepreneur, but we're just crazy. I don't know. Like, it's just something that we just wanted to do and we really believed in. But it's true. Like sometimes you get paid more, like just staying in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's often the case. What I've come to the conclusion is that we have, and I'm not surprised by this, but I needed to be able to calculate it. We just have different personalities across the country.
Yeah.
And when we put those diverse backgrounds, belief systems, capability, skill sets, whatever part of it you want to look at, into the place where they fit best, where their passion is, then everybody wins.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
When we try to say, yeah, I know you'd love to create, I mean, because I have to assume that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
That you love this idea of being able to create this business that has the values that you enjoy. And if we say, yeah, but no, you have to come here and follow the DOT rules and stick with the contracting. But vice versa, there are people who say, tell me exactly what I need to build and do. I want a task list.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to be in this create space.
Yeah.
And it's when we put people in different locations by force that we have problems. And we've not nailed that in the country. We have definitely created these obstacles that become illogical at some point, and we lose people in good spaces. Yeah, I mean, because imagine if you had some of the medical issues that our children have had. You'd be forced into, I mean, there would be no way that I could have this kind of a job at that time because the insurance was so important to the livelihood of, because all my children have had major medical issues. So you end up in the situation where you have to have that corporate job in order to be able to have them. And everybody has something else, that just is mine. But I think there's a way to do it a whole lot better. I'm curious, have you guys gone after any of the federal funding like the SIVers, or, so those are going to be small business research grants, and there's some other terminologies as well, but essentially they do give money to innovative companies, and it does come from the federal grant space, and there's quite a bit of money there actually, but that's not something you guys have gone after.
We started
talking about it.
Exactly.
Because I mean, I think you would be candidates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we're actually developing our own IP and stuff like that, so that's actually what those grants are for.
Right. Well, they span a lot of areas. A lot of people don't know. We have 179 innovation programs inside government.
Wow.
And they span from small to large. One of the books that we just got released to the public is called Innovating Government. It's a redesign of the executive branch. In the appendix are a list of all the websites of the granting agencies for innovation, and it covers all areas, all 15 departments. I say in addition to DoD 14, but 15 departments and agencies, and then connects to all of their grants. And it also details what types of grants they give out. So you could be in agriculture and there is money. So obviously in tech there's much money, but you might not have thought you should look at the Treasury. You might not have thought that you would want to look at HUD. You may not want, right?
Let us know. And
I'd love to see
that.
that.
Yeah. No, I'll make sure you get a copy of that because it's all been curated. And so I didn't know there were that many. And these are programs that are like mini Googles inside of government. Oh yeah, the program I worked for, our walls were all fluorescent green and orange, and we had whiteboards and sticky notes and chalkboards everywhere, and we were in the sub-basement of the Roosevelt building. So it's all white cinder block. You go down, down, down in the elevator that no one else goes in, and you come out this, I mean, it's like out of a movie, completely nondescript white space. You turn the corner and then there's this barn door and fluorescent green, and when it opens it's like an oasis. It's amazing. Awesome. It really is. You walk in and you're like, cool. This exists in government. Awesome. I think people just don't, just nobody knows, and we can't share any of it, but that kind of money does exist. And you don't pay it back. You just do good work for the country. So you guys like that.
Let us know.
Yeah. And one of the ones that I thought of, have you looked at B Corps?
No.
You are going to have to look at B Corps. So B Corps, it's a benefits corp, and what it is it has a set, you get certified as a B Corp, and you have a set of values that you have to demonstrate and be assessed on that you follow for your employees. And what they're trying to do is help to find an external certification process to tell and communicate to the customers that you work with, we are the type of company that not only does good work, but we also take care of our employees in a positive way.
Awesome.
And so by them creating this certificate, it then becomes this recognized outside entity that is saying, yes, we certify that not only do they claim it, but they follow it.
That's awesome.
And what are the benefits of like a B Corp?
So I think, well, two things, right? One is that you get into the B Corp group, which is, you know, nationwide, and who else is working that space, so it's networking. But the second is that, and I really, really like this because it's a model that I started seeing being useful outside of government, because in government we have to be really careful with businesses, right?
Right.
We can't show favoritism.
Yeah.
However, if we can help create the requirements of a certification of some sort, and there's an outside entity that will do the legwork to certify groups as having fulfilled those, whatever it is, it could be, I mean, like I talked with the zoos and aquariums, they do this, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
Really?
Yeah, the AZA
Okay.
follows it and is run by the former director of the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Okay.
And by giving that certification, it tells you they take care of their animals in a specific, expected way. Same concept that we did in technology with the program I worked with. There was all these rules you had to follow in order to be able to plug into the same data system. When they say we are certified in this, then it qualifies. Well, so this is a benefits concept, which is much more about human positive action in companies.
That's super cool.
And so then, yeah, same thing. You're communicating to the world that we claim and follow a set of ideals. And if you agree with those, you have I think, a higher likelihood that someone would choose your company over another one, right?
Wow, okay.
If you
I like
have two
that.
companies side by side and one says family first and the other says task oriented,
Right.
there are people who will choose.
Oh wow. Okay,
That's awesome.
I'm looking that up.
Well, thank you so much for joining me,
Thank
and
you.
thank you everybody for joining us.